Hello and welcome to the show. Now, last couple of weeks, lots of TV shows launching, lots of interesting people. One of those people is Zora Khan. She's doing a show called Ab-E-Hayaat, if I've got that right, Zora. And it's something special that's been coming for a while, been in discussion for a while. And the time is now here, the show is coming, and Zora's here. Zora, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Faizal.
Now, Zora Khan, you know, it's always interesting to get to a point where you understand the host first before understanding the show. So I'm going to focus on you as Zora Khan. And I know it's maybe a question that you're going to find a bit odd, but who is Zora Khan?
It's something that I'd love to tell you about. Zora Khan is a story of a summary of a little girl brought up in the dusty mining towns of a little town called Den Haag in northern Natal, with the dreams of the big city light, and like every other girl, want to make it a success of her life. And I'd like to think I am that. And along the way, my time in the grassroots, in the farm, has always kept me grounded. So I think I have the best of both worlds. Zora Khan is basically a simple girl.
So the seeds were planted at the farm?
At the farm.
That's an interesting one. One kind of doesn't see that in you now, but I suppose that moving into a very urbanized environment, but that rootedness of coming from a small town might still be there, and I think that's what you're trying to say. The parents, the upbringing, the education, the school days, where did that all go?
All right, I think I have an interesting family life, being orphaned at a very small age.
Oh.
And my mum took us over to her parents out in the farm. That's Den Haag, very small town. It's actually a one-street town. Everybody knows everybody. And I can tell you it was the best move Mum ever made, because at that time we were relocated from Cater Manor into the heart of Chatsworth. And Mum was very, very perturbed at how would she bring up a whole lot of children in this environment with no man in the household.
So your father passed on. Was it a medical condition?
A medical condition. And he was an ace cricketer, and we never expected him to have gone on early in his life. But Mum took us away, and with the Standard 6 education and being a madrasa apa, that was the only skills that she had. She raised all of us up in this little town. And like you have a little nest and everybody flows the coop from one end to the other. That's what happened, and we have a very successful story. And I think one of the things Mum rooted in us was education. She would go without food or go without luxuries to make sure that we had the best in terms of education. And she would visit our schools, our principals. She would take a taxi, go to Dundee and find out how's my daughter doing and how are my children doing. So that was the interest.
So that's an interesting point, and I think, you know why I'm saying it's interesting is because in the end of the day you find people, and we look at these older generations and we think that because we are computer literate and because we're so immersed in technology, but they had levels of wisdom. They were thinking ahead, and they were thinking ahead for you, and she was thinking ahead for you, I suppose.
She was, and Faizal, I'm glad to say that Mum's still around with us. She's 85. She's with me currently right now. And although, you know, when you get older, you forget things, you forget certain incidents and things, but that calmness still when you look at her, able to see her. And I'm just grateful that she's still around for us.
So, you going through school now, was there some tertiary education that you looked at, and then from there, where did it all go?
I think Dundee High was high school for me, and the only bursary that was available at the time was for teaching. And so I took up a teaching career, and I was a junior primary, specialist junior primary teacher for 19 years, and I was also transferred as promoted as head of my department. But like you change in life and you reach a certain age and you reach a certain maturity level, you close a chapter and you move on. In my 19 years, I had grown out of the pond that I was. I found no challenges. How
did you find that? What was the teaching thing for you? Because in my view, teaching is not for everybody. I mean, I'm thinking about myself. I would not have that kind of patience. But you seem to have that demeanor about you that looks very patient.
I loved and I still miss the rapport with my little ones, because they were the best to teach. Because children are very innocent, they'll speak the truth, and they've got limitless boundaries. And I can say I learned every day with my children. But when it came to feeding yourself as an educator, wanting to grow, I found there were several limitations, to me. And having progressed up to my master's level in education, I found it difficult to fit into the small-mindedness of schools and teaching. And I wanted to be in curriculum development. And at the time, we're changing. Apartheid was turning in reverse. So positions for us in the department.
So you at that stage felt that there was something greater for Zora Khan. There was something that you needed to do. But the fact that you spent all those years with the kids was the basis and premise for what you wanted to do next.
It was. And I think, Faizal, people are very lucky in life if they get an opportunity to live their dreams, to take up new challenges. Sometimes we just get into one rut and say, right, I want to do this and I'm going to be here, and I'm happy, I get a salary every month, yes, and this is my life.
So what do you think about the saying that says that you only live when you live your dreams?
To live your dreams, Faizal, means to change and to reach better heights, better your own boundaries, go a little bit, push it a little bit further. And here at this stage, I would like to say that if it were not for my husband and the challenges he threw my way, I wouldn't be able to pursue the kind of dreams that I did now. I mean, I used to study, and in the delivery of my second child, I was this big, and I'm sitting against the UNISA table, and my husband's sitting outside, and he already informed the instructor, this girl is in October, she's due to deliver in November, and she wants to take her honors exam. So I'm outside if there's any problem. So I think, that kind of support and help is tremendous, because it says, yes, you can do it within the confines of family, but do live your dreams. So that was tremendous for me, Faizal.
You dream for yourself can manifest. I think it's that power of manifestation. I don't think enough of us are dreaming. Yes. We're supposed to dream and try and achieve that. It starts with a dream. But so there's university, it's the studies. You're now talking about your husband already. I was going to ask you, how did that meeting happen? Where did you meet him?
It was, I think we started off...
I can see you going back into time, thinking about it with that smile.
You know what? We started off where everybody starts off with beautiful fairy tales. But beautiful fairy tales can come out of things that go wrong. So we both met each other on the rebound. My proposal fell through, and he had lost somebody that he loved all of his life. And we found consolation in each other. And I think our friendship, which still holds today, we're still the best of friends. And I always say, in Shah Rukh's famous words in one of his Bollywood movies, if she cannot be my friend, then she cannot be somebody that loves me. And I think it holds very true that if everything goes through, if you meet and remain as friends, then you have that friendship towards the end of your lifetime. And we met, although we met under circumstances where we wanted consolation from each other, we became each other's strength, and we actually rose out of nothing. We started off from scratch. Everything that we have done and we have built together.
There is no such thing as these failures that people talk about, or mistakes. I think that they are just creating spaces, so that when something leaves your life, I think that's creating a space for something else, and that might have just happened to you. And look at you today. I listened to you many times because we meet off the show for the benefit of our viewers. So I listened to you, and I know that a lot of the delay with launching the show, yes, and us reconnecting was your husband. There were some medical things going on, but listening to you and that adoration you have for him, and that time you wanted to put in, and that bond that you have for him, and just before the show started, you speaking about him, I could already sort of understand that there's something very serious in terms of that friendship, and so we're very happy about that, and I think that's exemplary. So the kids come along, and how did all of that go? Because you were sitting at UNISA and they were on their way,
yes,
and so the kids are there now. How does that?
I'll have to bring in the patriarchal family, the big family. And yes, we lived a very big family. Anwar being his eldest in the family, he also took care of the family because his dad was not too well. So we had this big family that he stood in like a father for. And it has its benefits in having your children within the confines of a big family. We never had to pack our kids and take them off to day school and daycare. Our kids always had love and attention from their grandparents, from my sister-in-laws, my brother-in-laws. The kids grew up with a lot of love and attention. I have an eldest son, his name is Arshad. He's 31. I have a second son, his name is Muhammad Ridwan, and he's 26. And my Lat Lamaki, of course, is my daughter, and she is Noreen. And the children grew up in a loving environment because we had the support of a beautiful family. And that is my in-laws. And I'm proud to say my mom-in-law also spends all those years with me. She's 88. She still lives with me. And not only is my relationship with my husband, but also with the greater family. And they've also given me a place, not only as Bhabi. You can see that after mom-in-law, they'd look to me. So they've given me that position.
I think it's a typical example of, I think that people don't understand that when you get married into a family and you become part of that family, that although you're marrying your husband or wife, but you're actually marrying the family.
You are.
And if you can embrace that, which I must admit that I listen to a lot of stories on the show, but it's one of those very good stories. I'm very happy that you, I think it's exemplary, and it's nice that you're telling me these things, because for the benefit of our viewers to actually see that it can bode well. And the mother-in-law is not always the witch that you think she is, because this one seems to have gone down very well. So the home environment seems nice, and I think the home environment is always a premise for everything else. If everything's fine at home, then many other things can be achieved. Some of your ideals, I mean, you started going into media, and then it's the reciting. Where did all of that come up the nuts? Because I was amazed to find out the other day, now pre-briefing, that there are lots of women into night recitations in the Durban area. It doesn't happen that much where I come from. But a bit more about that, and how did all of that happen, and why?
I think it was a means to an end at the very beginning, because as I did say to you, Mum was a madrasa appa. So to supplement the income, Mum would often, every weekend, those days they were called mauluds. Yes. And the ladies' gatherings, and Mum used to recite, and they'd often give you these little bowls with sweets and some money in there. And we as children were always attracted. We'll go with Mum and we'll sit on the side of the stage, and we'd give Mum chorus. So I think the seeds were already planted. And I can remember my very first reciting was in a little town called Balfour. And we were very excited because we had a chauffeur come pick us up from our dusty little town in a lovely black Mercedes. I still remember. And we all went up to Balfour. And they, being starved of artists coming there, they kept Mum till the wee hours of the morning. It must have been around 12ish when she was quite tired. And in those days, there were no mics. You had to sit and perform with everybody. And they requested Allah, Allah, Allahu. And Mum said, it is quite late and I am quite tired. And I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, Mum, I can recite that for them. And she said, you will, my child? I said, yes. And I stood and I recited it totally. The people were so
that was your first stage experience?
First stage experience, solo.
And the stage fright?
Nothing, because we're always used to the stage. Like my daughter, always used to the stage. She crawls up to Mum and sits on the stage. She's never frightened of the mic, never frightened of the stage, because they've seen Mum on stage. That was the same with me.
It's about being you.
And once Mum came to know that, this girl can now recite. And then she and her sisters would get hold of me and say, okay, put this tape recorder on, and Zora, give us some new tunes to the old things that we are reading all the time. And so that was my input. On a Sunday morning, my Auntie Gori will come along and they'll say, Zora, how about this tune? What can you fit in? So there has been that background in there. But the person that unearthed the diamond and polished it up was Janab Safi Siddiqui Sahab. And that came out of the fact that he used to do these all-night programs on radio. And he said, he was a trailblazer. He loved the women in between the program, and he hated the fact that he would have to play Ummi Habiba all of the time from Pakistan. He says, what is wrong with our women? They can recite. And so the late Salim Ahmed gave me Dil Ko Taskeen Mili, and he said, Zora, learn this naat and please come with me. Safi Siddiqui is all the time fussing about having a woman on the show. And at that time there were two reciters of note. It was Feroza, and I think it's Feroza and the other Feroza Begum, the blind singer, and there was another artist, Fauzia, and she was a Qawwali artist.
At that time, was it known to you that your voice was what it needed to be to do this?
After the maiden Dil Ko Taskeen Mili.
That's where you realized that. Okay.
Safi heard me. And then Mr. Mal phoned Safi Siddiqui and said, the lady that you had on radio, she has a beautiful ghazal voice. Please pursue that voice. And so Safi phoned and he said to me, Zahra, we need to talk. You must please come on my next program. And he penned very beautiful lyrics of that one, Tujhe Dekha To Ye Jana Sanam. That was the latest song. And Safi wrote the first one for me. Inshallah Taiba Jayenge Hum. And he wrote it for an Eid program.
It was the late 80s, wasn't it?
It was 1994.
94.
And Ismail Sadiq put it onto the Eid
But that song came out before 94.
Yeah, before.
The original.
Yeah, the original. But Safi wrote.
I remember it in school at some point.
Yeah. And but the lyrics there, Inshallah Taiba Jayenge Hum, was an instant hit, and the younger generation were attracted to it, and Safi saw that as a beacon. And that's where it was unearthed really. Janab Safi Siddiqui took over from 1994 with me.
So a diverse life, lots of things happening, interesting history, interesting current life, good relations going on. There are people in your life that make a big difference. I know that you have this very tight family, as you're saying, but there's one or two people that stand out for you. Who are they?
I would say, although my father passed away at a very early age, I would say that I have a lot of his values, and a lot of those values were imbibed in me by my brother, although he's just 3 or 4 years my senior. But he has also taken in a lot of those values, and he brought us up in. You must remember, we had no male figure to look up to, and so brother, although young, also imbibed those same values and qualities, which would be, your charity and your humbleness and your empathy towards people. All these things are things that you cannot buy today. And I think that's important for me, and my mom, as I did say. But if I had to say in terms of my career, the one person that really makes me shine out, and even today, would be Janab Safi Siddiqui. May Allah grant him a high place in Jannah, inshallah. I mean, he's been not only a mentor, he was somebody you could pick up the phone and have a conversation with and feel good about. And that is, I really miss that today, that he's not there at the end of the phone. But Faizal, I want to share with you, I did a memorial for him in Cape Town, not so long ago, about 2 years back. And I would still feel the connection with him, because I was wondering, what is it that I should read different here that I haven't already recorded or read? And I was packing books for the children to give out in Cape Town. And inside one of the books, I found a kalam that he wrote for me. I recited once. And it was based on Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. And there it was, and I told Zakia, I'm going to read Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. He always guides me to what I should read and what I should not. I'd often prepare now for a function, and I'll go to a function and I'll find my hands moving to a particular kalam. And you have got to go, you've got to rehearse a little bit before you go to functions. But I'm finding that connection with him, and I still feel, okay, all is not lost.
Correct, yes. Of course. Your husband, you've been through a tough time recently, medically. I don't think we're going to go into what might have been the issues, but there's been an issue. It's been a long road for you. You speak about it all the time. It seems to have been central to certain things that happened recently. Things have now gone well, and he's getting better, and things are looking better. What's your message to him I think that you've been through a lot, which I pick up. But what's your message to him? That you're not maybe saying directly, but it's fine to use the platform and say that in the public space. What's that special message?
I would like to say to Anwar that we started off together and we were support for each other. And we are finding that the time that we are getting older together, it's special in that we still want to rely on each another. And I take my strength from him and he takes my strength as well to go on. And may Allah keep him in good health always. And that would be my greatest dua, because if his health is good and if he is in good stead, and the rest of us will be well. And I also want to tell him that I still have a flutter in my heart when I see him walk towards me, and I'm still very much in love with him. And I met him on my 21st birthday for the first time. I always say to him, it's still the same, and may that feeling always be there. We fight a lot, but we love each other a lot also. I think there's a bit of love in that fighting as well.
Yeah. I'm so happy that you're just being very candid about that, because I find that very interesting that when people after all these years that they manage to retain that. Yes. Because I think it's one thing falling in love, and it's another thing actually retaining that and saying the kind of things that you're saying today. So I think that's a very special message to Anwar. Zora, the show's coming up soon, Ab-E-Hayaat. People have been talking about it for a while, and I think that just a quick one as we end the show. What do we expect to see? Because we're going to be seeing you weekly very soon.
All right, Ab-E-Hayaat actually means an elixir of life, or the fountain of life. And we want to focus on, love in its purest forms. And we are talking about poetry recitals. We are talking about the psyche of writers. Not only is it showcasing the best of KZN women at this point, it's also focusing on what makes them recite the way they do, why they choose the compositions that they are choosing, and giving a little bit of background to an international platform about what we are here in South Africa and what is it that we have achieved as women. And as you said, like in Cape Town itself, we don't have a lot of women that recite, but KZN has got a crop of beautiful reciters, and that's what we aim to showcase. As you have given a glimpse into my life today, I'm going to do the same for our KZN women and also present their beautiful voices, their reciting, and I'm going to take them through their paces with what the poet and his psyche is all about in this beautiful program, Ab-E-Hayaat.
So in conclusion, just some advice to younger female reciters that maybe see this role model in you and an example that they can come from the farm and stand on that big stage with the lights on and shine.
They can, and it all starts with a dream. And Faizal, it's not only about having a dream, but it's about waking up the next morning and taking one step towards that dream. Because today, if you Google me or you Google an artist, you'll be able to get hold of them. Talk to us or speak to somebody that has the experience, or I've faxed numerous naats to people and reciting for them on the phone and helping them. If you don't ask, if you don't look, you're never going to learn. And if you have a mentor out there, or if you have somebody out there that's prepared to take your dream one step forward, then you have to only ask and you have to move towards it.
Zora, thank you for coming on the show. Very inspiring life, very inspiring story. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Faizal, and we're looking forward to our program rolling very soon.
I'm going to reciprocate with one thing, and that's just not going to have me as a guest because it's for women only. Ab-E-Hayaat coming up soon on Teen TV. Watch out for that one. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.